Congratulations again to Mwalimu Churchill mwenyewe.
Kabisa.
Or is it, and the other guy on the radio? A story a day. The story I wanted to give you today is because you heard that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu
might be coming in.
There's a good chance he's coming into town for the inauguration, which tomorrow. Is a big deal because wasn't he here last year?
Yeah, last year.
It's twice in 2 years.
And the town went to a standstill.
Can you imagine?
And
people were complaining on Twitter, on Facebook,
everywhere.
or IG.
Then he threw a punchline.
Yeah, at State House.
There's no traffic in Kenya.
He says, I'm shocked.
I'm shocked. Everybody's complaining
about traffic.
I can't see traffic. We've been moving really swiftly. Benjamin, don't try that.
They shut down the city.
I'm telling you, there's even a point where network was a bit shaky.
Yes.
So,
the story goes way back. In 1976, an Air France plane taking off from Paris is hijacked by Palestinian and German terrorists, hijackers. They hijacked this plane with about over 100 people on board, mostly of Jewish extraction, mostly Israelis. So as the plane is in the air and they're negotiating back and forth, all of a sudden the plane is diverted and it ends up in Entebbe,
Uganda.
By that time, Idi Amin was the head of state, and he welcomed these terrorist hijackers. He welcomed them, he granted them permission to land in Entebbe. With all, they landed, and the negotiations kept going on, and it was a stalemate for 2-3 days, a major stalemate. In the meantime, Israelis don't mess around, They were studying the whole plans of everything. The plane, the passengers, where they, all this back and forth, they were studying this. And they said, if negotiations fail, we're going to have to do this ourselves. Go rescue our fellow Israelis.
Wow.
So they were practicing, rehearsing back and forth, up until they wanted to know, how does Amin travel? Because they wanted to surprise the terrorists at the airport by arriving as Amin arrived in his convoy. So they had the Mercedes stretch. They had a guy dressed up as Idi Amin. They had the whole painted in black, of course. They had the whole thing down to a science. Because they were watching TV, they were watching all the events. And Amin would visit the hostages and the terrorists. Apparently he was assuring the hostages that they will be okay, all that stuff. But negotiations stalled kabisa. So in order for Israel to go and rescue these hostages, their planes, their aircraft needed to refuel somewhere in between Tel Aviv and Entebbe. They needed to refuel somewhere. So they asked permission. They asked the Kenyans. At that time, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta said, I don't want anything to do with these guys, man. I don't want, this is a global problem. If I side with one side, there might be implications. But there are other people negotiating. And someone in Kenyatta's government made a deal with the Israelis. And they said, don't tell Mzee until after this thing is over. Because the Israelis now were determined. They're getting desperate. They said, we have to go in ourselves. Mossad commando was called Operation Thunderbolt. Hey, boss. So they flew in the jets. They landed in Nairobi. And then they took a cargo plane with a Mercedes in it. Kila kitu. And a guy dressed as Amin. And they flew now to Entebbe. And they were getting the intel in the meantime. So they land at Entebbe airport. Right? The Mercedes comes, and it's quietly, under the radar. Mercedes comes out and drives on the tarmac. Now, of course, the airport is surrounded by Amin's soldiers, right? And they see Amin's car coming in the dead of night. Everybody at attention. Boom, 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 at attention. The general has come. They drive right through into the airport. At the airport, now these guys, they realize, oh man, we've been duped. Too late. Pop, 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 pop. Gunshot everywhere. They get in, they rescue the hostages. More than 100 of them. Rescue them. Boom, boom, in the car to the plane. They've killed all the hostage, the hijackers. They've killed the hijackers, every one of them. And of course, the soldiers who were hanging around with them. Amin this time has just been informed on the radio, hey, there's a raid on Entebbe. As the hostage, as this Israeli commando team is coming out, they destroy all the aircraft on the runway. All Amin's MiGs or whatever aircraft he had, all of them were destroyed on the runway. So now they're escaping with all the hostages, getting into the cars. There's a sniper at the control tower upstairs. There's a sniper, and he shoots, and he kills one of the commandos. That guy they killed, his name was Jonathan Netanyahu. They called him Yoni for short. The older brother of Benjamin Netanyahu is the only casualty, the only one that got shot. It was actually shot. He didn't die instantly. They put him in the plane, and they now said, let's refuel in Nairobi. Boom, back to Nairobi, straight to Nairobi hospital, under cover of secrecy, and nobody knew what was going on. The hostages, the ones who needed care, were taken to Nairobi hospital as well, quickly taken care of before being flown out. Jonathan Netanyahu, he died apparently, we don't know for sure, he died apparently on the operating table. Just as they were trying to save him, he died. But he was like the hero of the whole Operation Thunderbolt, because he led the team that was going to the rescue. By the way, Benjamin Netanyahu was also in the same unit as his brother, in the same commando unit, but there's a law in Israel that you cannot fly on the same mission if you're two siblings. So he stayed behind. His brother went to Entebbe and got killed subsequently in the raid. But it was incredible. Amin was pissed off. His entire air force was destroyed. His reputation was down the drain toilet. The Palestinians and Arabs were saying, what did you do? Did you sell us out or what? It was major backlash that came about it. And by the way, the bombing of the Norfolk Hotel on New Year's Day, do you remember a few years later, I think it was the 78 or 79, the Norfolk Hotel was bombed early one morning on New Year's Day. It was a retaliation from the Palestinians for what Kenya had done to aid the Israelis in rescuing their people in Entebbe. It was a backlash. Wow. I'm telling you, man, you can't make this stuff. And now Benjamin Netanyahu is coming. By the way, when he was in Kenya last year, he went to Uganda, right?
Yes.
For the very first time. And it was, he was shown exactly what happened during that raid by Museveni. They walked him through the whole raid on Entebbe, and they honored his brother in Uganda. They said, this man did some incredible things.
Wow.
And that's what we call a story a day.
Join the world of Viusasa Entertainment and enjoy the videos you love. SMS the word Viusasa to 40984. Choose your preferred package plan. Select the amount for your chosen package plan, then click Next. Viusasa, connecting you to the videos you love.
A story a day. Only on Hot 96.